Welcome back, my dear children of class 11. Today we are going to learn the structure of eukaryotic cell. Last video I have explained about prokaryotic cell, the structure in details. So let us understand what is eukaryotic cell and what is the detailed structure. As it is already said, the cells with complete nucleus and membrane bound organelles are called the eukaryotic cell, and organisms which are having eukaryotic cells are eukaryotes. And in the first chapter you have learned that except Monera, all other organisms, that is Protista, fungi, plantae and Animalia, all of them are eukaryotic. In the 5 kingdom classification we learned about it, and monerans are prokaryotic. So let us go into the details about the structure of cell. And any of these cells, if we take, they have 3 functional regions in their cells. That is, first is plasma membrane, the outer covering of the cell, and inside the plasma membrane, the living material which is called the protoplasm. And protoplasm has 2 major components, cytoplasm and the nucleus. In other words, cytoplasm and nucleus constitute the protoplasm. So, plasma membrane, cytoplasm and the nucleus together are the functional regions of the cell. Now let us see the structure. This is a simple typical cell structure. So here is the plasma membrane, cell membrane or plasma membrane, and this inside whole part is called the protoplasm. And the protoplasm has 2 major components. This center structure is called the nucleus, which is membrane bound. Nuclear membrane is there, and this is the cytoplasm, which has small structures which do different functions, are called the organelles. So membrane bound organelles are there, membrane bound proper nucleus is there. So that is why this is the typical eukaryotic cell. Now see a detailed structure of plant cell is shown here. In addition to cell membrane, plant cells have a cell wall. The plant cell has a cell wall made up of cellulose, and rest the nucleus and the cytoplasm, and these are the different organelles in the cytoplasm. The whole structure is called a protoplasm, and about all these organelles and the nucleus we will learn in detail. See, an animal cell, animal cells do not have cell wall. An animal cell does not have a cell wall. So cell membrane is the outer covering, then this is the protoplasm, which has nucleus, and the membrane bound organelles are there. So again in detail we will see it. First of all, let us see the structure of cell membrane. The cell membrane is also called a plasma membrane. That is the outer covering of the cell as you have seen in the diagrams. And what are the chemical components which make the cell membrane? So it's made up of proteins. About 60 to 70% of the plasma membrane is proteins, lipids about 20% to 40%, and carbohydrate about 1 to 5%, and then enzymes of different kinds are present. So generally we say plasma membrane is lipoprotein in nature, made up of proteins and lipids mainly, and these other components in small proportions. Then the most important characteristic of cell membrane is it is semi-permeable or selectively permeable. That is, the materials enter into the cell and go out of the cell, but all substances cannot go into. The cell membrane allows only selected molecules to go inside or go from the cell. So that's why cell membrane is called a semi-permeable or selectively permeable. and present in all living cells, plant cell, animal cell, microbial cell, fungi, bacteria, prokaryote. Cell wall is present in all living things cell, outer covering. We have learned that. Then comes to the structure of the cell membrane in detail. So, two scientists, Singer and Nicholson, proposed a model of cell membrane which is known as fluid mosaic model of cell membrane. And so, the fluid mosaic model of cell membrane is proposed by these two scientists, Singer and Nicholson. Let us see what it is. First of all, as the name indicates, it is a fluidity is there, that is, it is flexible. It's not solid or hard, it is flexible. Now see the chemical components. It is made up of a bilipid layer. Bilipid layer, that is two layers of lipids are there. This is the bilipid layer and proteins. And these are the proteins. Now these proteins are of two types, peripheral proteins. These are the peripheral proteins. These are the peripheral proteins. They are just on the surface or surface protein or little bit into the cell membrane. Or some proteins are integral, that is, they form a tube-like structure like this. So integral protein. So in between the lipid, in the whole membrane, these proteins are there. And when some proteins have carbohydrates attached to it, which are called a glycoprotein, and in the lipid also carbohydrates attached, then it is called a glycolipids. Then cholesterol is there. Then some are globular proteins, some surface proteins are globular protein. And these tubular protein or integral proteins act as protein channels. This allows certain substances to move, especially the lipid soluble materials which cannot pass through this because lipids are these lipids have a head portion and a tail portion. So this is the first layer, outer layer, head and the tail. This is the inner layer towards the cytoplasm, so head and the tail. So the tail portion is towards the inside and the head portion is towards the periphery, towards outside or towards the cytoplasm. And the head portion and the tail portion. The tail portion is lipophilic and this is hydrophilic and this is hydrophobic portion. So water soluble molecules cannot go easily through it. So let us see the details in the next diagram of this bilipid layer. See, this is what? This is the bilipid layer. Bilipid phospholipid layer. So this is the head, this is the tail. Tail towards inside. This is the head, this is the tail. This also towards inside. So the tail portion is this. So hydrophobic, that is water repelling. Hydrophobic, and this is hydrophilic head. So through the inside, water soluble substances cannot move through. Okay. So this is it. Now, so this gives the fluidity, this arrangement of the bilipid give them the fluidity. So that is why it is called a fluid mosaic model and mosaic-like appearance. So all the structures we have seen, hydrophilic heads and hydrophobic tails here. And some proteins are alpha helix protein, helically coiled proteins are there. Some proteins are these are integral protein which penetrate through the bilipid layer. Then towards inside there is cytoskeletal filaments are there. So integral protein, peripheral protein, then glycolipids. All the parts we have seen. Now let us go on to the notes. See, this model, this fluid mosaic model explains the dynamic nature of the membrane because proteins are able to move within the phospholipid layers. So it is said that a protein iceberg in the sea of lipids, as you have seen in this diagram, protein icebergs. Icebergs, see, ice floats in water and it can move in water. Just like that, the protein can move in the sea of lipids. So it is called a protein iceberg in the sea of lipids. Then there are two kinds of proteins I said, peripheral proteins and integral proteins. Integral proteins are tightly bind to the phospholipid layer. So moving or degrading them is very difficult. They are tightly attached. Whereas peripheral proteins can be removed by mild treatment with the cytochrome or spectrin, because they can be easily moved and they function as enzymes. Then some of them are carrier proteins, some of them are receptor proteins to receive the material, some of them are permeases which allow the facilitated diffusion. So we have seen that membrane, so this is a detailed structure of fluid mosaic model of cell membrane. Now transport of substances takes place through the membrane. Membrane is semi-permeable and different materials are allowed to move in or out of the cell. And membrane transport takes place through physical processes. And these processes, there are two kinds of membrane transport, active transport and passive transport. Active transport means against the concentration gradient. In lower classes you have learned that from higher concentration to lower concentration the substances move. But when energy from ATP is utilized, or utilizing ATP energy, the substances can move from low concentration to higher concentration, which is called against the concentration gradient. And this is called, when energy is used, then it is called or utilized, it is called active transport. So one way of transport through the membrane is active transport by utilizing ATP energy. So utilizing energy against the concentration gradient, that is from lower concentration to higher concentration also substances can move. Then next is passive transport. Passive transport does not need ATP energy. So this is taking place along the concentration gradient. See, along the concentration gradient. That means higher concentration to lower concentration only substances can move. So understood the differences between the two? Now in passive transport there are three kinds of passive transport. First is simple diffusion. Simple diffusion is from higher concentration to lower concentration. For example, oxygen is higher outside and low inside. So oxygen will move, gases can move from higher concentration to low concentration. Or solutes can move from higher concentration to low concentration. So that is called a simple diffusion. Simply movement of substances from higher concentration to lower concentration through the semi-permeable membrane. Then osmosis. Osmosis is also a diffusion, but a special kind of diffusion it refers to the movement of water molecules only. So water molecules will move from a hypotonic solution to the inside of the cell through the semi-permeable membrane. That is water from its higher concentration to its lower concentration. If outside the cell concentration is more, water concentration is more, water will move or diffuse into the cell. Similarly, if outside there is inside the cell there is more concentration and outside it is less, then it is water will move from cell to outside. So this is the special kind of movement or special diffusion of water molecules from a hypotonic solution to a hypotonic solution to the cell is called a osmosis. So simple diffusion, both need a concentration differences. So along the concentration gradient it takes place. So simple diffusion may not need a semi-permeable membrane. It can move from higher. Supposing if you supposing you have water in the beaker or test tube and you add a drop of ink or any colored solute, it will quickly diffuse into the whole part and make the uniform solution. that is simple diffusion. But in the cell it takes place through the semi-permeable membrane. So osmosis need a concentration difference as well as semi-permeable membrane. Semi-permeable membrane is a must for osmosis to take place, and osmosis is the movement of water molecule or solvent molecule. In biological systems, solvent is mostly water. So movement of water or solvent molecules across the membrane from hypotonic solution to the cell, or sometimes if the cell sap is more concentrated and outside there is a hypertonic solution, then water will be lost from the cell. So that is called a movement of water into the cell is endosmosis, and movement of water out of the cell is exosmosis. So as per the concentration outside, exosmosis or endosmosis can take place. Now third kind of diffusion is facilitated diffusion. Facilitated diffusion means it needs the help of some carrier molecules. Facilitate means help. So it needs the molecules directly cannot go into the cell or out of the cell. It has to be facilitated by some other molecule. So these facilitated some proteins help in the movement, as we have learnt now. So these proteins facilitate the movement of molecules through it. So that is facilitated diffusion. Okay. So these are the different ways of membrane transport, and the structure of cell membrane we have learnt in detail. Semi-fluid, this is the cell membrane is semi-permeable, and this is the fluid mosaic model of it, explained by Singer and Nicholson. And this structure helps the movement of molecules are transported into the cell or out of the cell through these proteins, or through the lipid soluble molecules can pass through easily. Okay, and water soluble molecules pass through these protein channels. So these integral proteins act as the channels of transport. So I hope you have understood. That's all in this video. Thank you very much.